hockey season is back! Woohoo! And that can only mean one thing. Let's immediately play the team that just knocked us out of the playoffs. Oh, the wound's still fresh. But I think all of us here in Blues Nation got a little bit of satisfaction after today because the Blues won 5-3 over the Colorado Avalanche. Welcome everybody to the debut episode of Bfr'S Blues Bits, where we go over the previous week's all Blues news and Blues games. And since there was only one Blues game, we can just talk about that for this week's episode. Now, going into this game, obviously, I'm excited because Blues hockey is finally back. NHL hockey is finally back. That is absolutely something to celebrate. But I wasn't sure how this game was going to shake out. I mean, obviously, we all have our ideas on how teams are going to do standings-wise, but on the ice, it's a total crapshoot. Hence, why Buffalo was first in the league at the end of the day yesterday. Now, a couple things, of course, going into this game for the Blues. No real injury troubles. I mean, other than Oscar Sundqvist, which we knew was going to be on LTIR to start the season. And then David Perron was a game-time decision. We still don't really know the details behind why he took a maintenance day for the last day of practice in Vail. But hey, he ended up playing in this game, and it's a dang good thing he did because he ended up scoring 2 goals. Now, obviously, the Avs were missing McKinnon and Landeskog, which are obviously like 2 very key pieces to this Avalanche team. But they were missing a couple other players. And for that, I'm going to turn the time over to this week's featured content creator, Mr. Griffin Youngs, over on the Tell It Avs It Is podcast on THPN.
And it's not even just McKinnon and Landeskog. Nichushkin's now week to week. We've been missing Devon Tays since the start of the season.
True.
I've been talking about this on my show, but it feels like this team is cursed to a certain extent that we just can't be healthy. I never thought I'd say this, but we were also missing Jack Johnson tonight, who also went into COVID protocol. Jack Johnson, who scored that ridiculous goal against Chicago to open our scoring on the entire season.
What a cursed season.
We have that feel-good story for one game, and he is gone.
So the game starts, and I thought the Blues looked really solid for the first 2 periods. I thought Jake Neighbors had a bunch of great chances. He got his first shot on goal. He looked quick. He looked interested in the play. Very much not like Zach Sanford. Oh, man, I'm not going to miss him. Honestly, I've been really impressed with this kid so far. And yeah, there's no question in my mind that he's going to get at least a couple goals in his 9-game stretch. For the first 20 minutes of play, though, I thought the Blues were absolutely solid. They were generating chances left and right. Justin Faulk got a freaking goal. We would have paid to see that last year. You know, he was absolutely fantastic on the blue line, I think, this entire game, and I certainly hope that he continues that for the rest of the season. But yeah, Blues outshot him like 11-5 or something after the first. And then the second period comes around, and me especially, but a lot of Blues fans are like, oh, please don't be the same second period team as last year. Because if you remember, we would dig ourselves in such a hole for the second period that for the third period, we'd just be scrambling to try to get back into the game. And while the shots sort of reflected that we let off the gas in the second period, it says we were outshot 16-5. Oh, that's a lot worse than I thought it was. We were still generating chances. And Binnington was absolutely spectacular, you know, in that second period. But I thought the defense looked fine. And, you know, like I said, we were still generating chances. And then the third period comes around, and halfway through, it's a cakewalk. The Blues are absolutely dominating the Avs for the first 10 minutes of that third. David Perron scores to make it 4-1 Blues, and this game just seemed like it was completely out of reach for the Colorado Avalanche. And then Tyson Jost in the front of the net deflects a shot. It's 4-2 Avs. And we're all just like, okay, well, let's just get our feet back on the gas here. And then Comfort scores 4-3, and we're like, oh! And then... See, I already thought that we had gotten the most controversial kicking calls out of the way with Vegas and Toronto, but clearly that's not the case. Here's my viewpoint. That should be a goal. I don't get it. Like, why set a precedence for those 2 games and then just completely throw everything away for this one? I didn't like the call. I thought the Blues deserved to be scored on, you know, because we absolutely did not deserve to have that game remain 4-3. We were terrible for that 3-minute stretch there going into the, you know, final stages of the third period. And every single Avs fan on Twitter agrees with me, and rightfully so. Here's what Griffin Youngs had to say about that.
It completely sucked the life out of us. And I don't want to come off as a crybaby here, but I feel like we were robbed on that one. I watched the Vegas game. I watched the Chandler Stevenson goal. That got kicked into the net. That should not have counted. Yep. You go to the Toronto game, what was it, a day later? To Ottawa kicks a goal into the net, that one gets allowed. I would argue of the 3 goals, including this one, that went to this review, this was the least egregious.
I'm with you. I think a lot of the rational, sane Blues fans are with you when that goal absolutely should have counted. But the pucks dropped again in a 4-3 game, and the Blues cashed in on the empty net, and 5-3 ended up being the final. And listen, like I said, first 55 minutes of that game, outstanding. I thought the Blues played wonderfully, especially because, I mean, Colorado, even though they're depleted, they're still a quick team, and they wear you out. And it was pretty clear that towards the end of the game, the Avs were just wearing them out. But that ending, it's just, I feel slimy. I do. And with that, time for the question segment. All right, I think we should get to some of the questions. I'm going to just select a couple here. The first one, this is from King Angus. He says, how did Neighbors look? I can already tell you how good he looked. He looked fantastic in the first. I thought in the second and third, he kind of, let his game slip a little bit. But, for the most part, fine performance. I don't think it was bad. What did you think? Just a couple sentences. What did you think of Jake Neighbors?
I thought Jake Neighbors was all right. I mean, for a guy starting out in his NHL career, for the most part, it's not a lot more than you can expect from him. He brought some energy, especially early on, like you said, but it seemed like as the game got a little more intense, maybe some of the pressure got to him, but that's about all I have on Neighbors.
Yeah. This from Joe Suntag. He says, can we not do that again? I don't think my heart can take it. I mean, you'll have to take that up with NHL refereeing and our shitty sieve of a defense. But I feel like, I feel like, I don't want to really do that again. I'm sure Avs fans don't really want to go through that again.
You're telling me it's game 2 of the season, and I already feel right at home because we're digging into the Dylan Coutures of the world. Like, yeah. It's infuriating sometimes. Right. Like, you're telling me, oh, we don't want to do this again. Imagine feeling like that, but for 3 days leading up to this game, because the injuries add up more and more.
We're going to do one more question. This from Russell Clark. He says, did we just get really lucky? Yes. Yeah, we got a little lucky there.
You said it, not me.
We got lucky. You can say it. It's fine. I mean, it's true. It's absolutely true. But I think, the refs screwed the Avs today. And it's not very often that me, a Blues fan, can properly say that we got saved by the refs. We absolutely did in this game. And it's just, it's really unfortunate. But all right, so MVPs, from your perspective, who do you think deserves it for the Blues?
For the Blues, it's got to be David Perron. But those 2 goals he scored, absolute snipes. I would have liked to see one saved by Darcy Kemper for the Avalanche that would have had this game tied at the very end. But it's also hard to take it away from Jordan Binnington with that performance, especially late in this game. Even with those goals that went in for the Avs at the end, this game could have been tied a lot sooner and could have ended in regulation for the Avs if he doesn't make those saves on Rantanen and Burakovsky and on several of those deflections. If they get that Binnington for the rest of the season, this is a playoff team.
Absolutely. I thought he played phenomenal. I really want to give it to Binnington. If it wasn't that third goal that went in, that third goal, I think that's something he should have, especially after, the other saves that he had made prior in this sequence. I think that's a goal he should have had. So for that reason, pretty much exclusively, I think I'm going to agree with you on David Perron. Okay, MUP now this time. Who is the most useless player on the Blues? Who is the guy that you saw that were like, oh, wow, he does not look good, and we're skating circles around him right now?
The one guy that kind of stood out to me in that regard was Robert Bortuzzo, especially after some of his whining after he took some penalties. That stuff always makes me roll my eyes. Like, buddy,
of course,
the ref's right there. Like, everyone saw you do that, and to give him the like that.
You got Bortuzzo. I got James Neal in this one. I thought he was
actually
just
a great one because I forgot he was here.
He was giving away the puck in the second period. And that's why he didn't touch the ice the last 5 minutes of the game, is because of that. It was just too risky to have him on the ice. So for that, I'm going to give it to James Neal. So would you like to change your answer to James Neal, or are we sticking with Bortuzzo?
No, okay. No, that's a much better answer because you literally just reminded me that James Neal is on the Blues because I literally did not notice him once tonight. If you didn't mention that, I would have completely forgotten James Neal was on the Blues.
So, all right. So our MVP of the night goes to DP57, and our MUP is going to James Neal. So those are our first nominees. So there you have it. David Perron gets MVP honors, and James Neal gets MUP honors. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you guys next week. Let's go Blues!